When you ask me, like, what's the big thing with fat loss, it's this. It's the belief set in so many ways, believing that's possible for you, but also who are we listening to?
Right.
Are you listening to that doctor that says you're just getting old? Accept it? What? No.
Right.
Find evidence of somebody that's 70, 80, 90 that is living the way that you want to live then and rewind what they did.
So you guys have a very special guest today. It is Natalie Jill. She is the very popular host of Midlife Conversations. She is also a best-selling author in the fat loss space. I said fat loss, guys, not just weight loss, which, as you know, is very near and dear to all of our hearts. Natalie, I want to thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're crazy busy, but I appreciate you being here for us and our community.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in and chat.
I know this is going to be exciting because I've been listening to a lot of your podcasts. I've been watching a lot of your videos, and I will tell you, I'm super fired up, right? I'm 52 years young this year. Yay, me. And I really work a lot on my health and wellness. Obviously, I wanted to be a vet, did not want to be in this space whatsoever. Life had a different plan for me. But I think so many people in our demographic and in our space are really noticing, changes in their body. So as you being an expert in this space, I'd like to know kind of what's the biggest challenge that you see for us, for women as we age?
Yeah. So I love this question because I think people are expecting me to say it's hormones or it's your age or it's your thyroid or it's whatever, your genetics or your diagnosis. And I'm not going to say any of that because you asked me what the biggest challenge, what's the biggest obstacle? The biggest obstacle is our belief set. Yeah. And I could talk all day on this and I won't because people will tune me out. But I believe so strong in this because no matter what cards you are dealt, and look, I have the worst genetics. Like I have got everything in my family. So if I just look at genetics and DNA, everything's stacked against me, everything. I've had lots of bad luck and setbacks and all of the things. And it doesn't matter because belief set and believing in possibility and focusing on that outweighs all of that. So I will tell women this till I'm blue in the face, that you might think that everything you're doing isn't working and it's because of reason X, Y, Z. And what I want to tell you is until you break through and decide that there's a new reality that you are capable of, that can happen for you, that's going to be a real possibility for you, nothing will shift. So that is the most important thing.
I love that. And we were just talking the other day about an individual that has, identified some of the common biomarkers that can lead to weight loss resistance, right?
Yeah.
You named them, environmental toxins, thyroid issues. We were able to kind of remodel her metabolism, right? She lost like 70 some odd.
Amazing.
It is amazing. But she was in an interview and she said, I still see myself as fat.
That's right.
And
right.
And I just went, okay, so how do we repowder the body as we heal the body? Because that's where true healing happens, right? And another one that was talking to us that said she could not bring herself to not buy a size 18 pair of jeans. She knew jeans. They were going on a trip. She had lost in the 60s, done amazing, healed her metabolism. But so that's there's several reasons why I wanted you on.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I wanted to talk to our community about that shift that has to happen, right? There's a new you. There's truly a new you. Your metabolism's different. There's healings that have happened in the body, but how do you change that so that it's identified as self and its reality? So I love that you say that that's the biggest shift because everybody's body's different, right?
Yes. Everybody's body's different. And here's the thing. I'm not saying these things don't play a role. Like I just got back from Europe and I was watching, I was just noticing the European culture, and I can't speak for every country. I was in Portugal, Spain, and the Rock of Gibraltar. And I was just noticing how obesity was not a thing. Like people were active. They were walking around everywhere. I didn't see the obesity epidemic that we see in America. And I'm not saying it's not there in some pockets, but it just wasn't as in your face as we see here. And what I noticed was the food quality was different. The soil is different. Regenerative farming is different. The way that people move throughout the day, less using cars, more walking, more like that. So all of that plays a role. So I thought, okay, is this the thing? Well, it's part of the thing. It's part of the thing because you could have all the things stacked against you. Like you could have none of that. You could be here in the US. You could have all those things. It's not there. And there's still people that are fit and there's still people that are not fit. And then you go, what is that difference? What is that thing? And is it luck for some people? Sure, it is. But there's no point in focusing on that. If that's not you. Yeah, if you're not in the luck, you're like, I wasn't born, 5'10", blonde hair, blue eyes, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't, that's not my luck. Then you have a choice. You either fall victim and become all the problems, or you decide there's something else for me and it might be harder. It might take me longer. It might not be as easy, but I'm going for it.
And it has to become a come hell or high water moment, right?
Yes. And the other thing, it's a decision. So a decision is not I'm going to try. It's like an actual firm declaring decision. It's a decision. So like when you decide something that's very different than I'm going to try or I'm going to think about or I'm going to consider, like that's not a decision is like this is happening. And if you think in your life at anything you've been successful at, anything, take it away from your body and health for a minute. Anything you've been successful at, you made a firm decision. You literally decided like this is what's happening. This is what's going to happen. So it has to be a decision. And it has to be not focusing on all of those problems. I believe in epigenetics, and I'm assuming you do too, Haylie.
Absolutely.
Epigenetics is huge. And for those of you that don't fully understand that means despite what your cards are for your DNA or whatever, you can change it by changing your environment. What is failed to be mentioned in epigenetics is that mindset and that belief around that. But if you can take that on first, you work from a different foundation. If you work from the foundation of everything sucks, nothing works for me, I've tried everything, my hormones are shifting, my metabolism slowed down, my husband hates me, like you work from that slate, it's going to be very challenging to get results. But if you can almost go to la la land, like, no, I'm thriving, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to be the size that I want to be, I'm going to be the healthy, my lab markers are going to be what I want. If you can operate from that slate, you start to get results.
Hi, it's Haylie, your host. I know firsthand what it feels like to find real impactful solutions to your struggles. And I know what it feels like to lose hope. We are being bombarded by toxins every single day. As a matter of fact, the world's largest single environmental health risk is air pollution. One thing that is becoming crystal clear is that environmental toxic burdens in our bodies must be addressed. Let me help you tackle toxic burden. Go to HayliePomroy.com/detox and download my free Detox Decoded Masterclass. Let's give you a fighting chance. I know what it feels like to lose hope, whether you're dealing with fatigue, mast cell activation, an autoimmune disorder, long COVID, viral reactivation, anxiety or depression, or inflammation. All of it can feel overwhelming. I will teach you nutrition and natural therapies to help your body eliminate toxins. I cannot wait to see you there. Again, that's HayliePomroy.com/detox.
I love it. I love everything that you're saying. And I'm a big advocate on you can turn a lot of things on, and genes are one of them. And you can turn a lot of things off, and genes are one of them. So we have a lot of people that go in. I use the word like medical gaslighting. We'll just throw that out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They go in and they're told by their docs, like, how do we combat these stereotypes? You're just getting older. And one of our students, we have coaching certification. Our student said the other day, and I've just used it a million times, she said, just because it's normal or just because it's common doesn't make it normal, right? And these are women that are going through like menopause and having weight gain and hot flashes. How do we combat those stereotypes?
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, your doctor is not God. That's number one. Okay, and your doctor might not even be the most educated doctor. So a doctor, and there's some amazing doctors, and then there's some not so amazing ones. They're human like everybody else. They go to medical school, they learn what they learn, and then how much do they continue their education? How much do they practice what they learned? And then how much do they actually practice healthcare versus sick care? Most doctors in Western medicine, not all, so don't come at me. Not all.
I hear you. Yeah.
But most doctors in Western medicine, they are taught, look at symptom. Here's the prescription. Here's the solution for this symptom. I remember years ago, I'm going to take this back to, I was in my 20s. I'm in my late 20s. I'm 52 right now. My late 20s, I was having all kinds of random symptoms. I had swollen lymph nodes. I had, every time I ate, my stomach hurt. I had these heart palpitations. I had, I had a list of probably 25 symptoms that were really weird. And I was losing weight, but not in my stomach. And my stomach was like sticking out and it always hurt. Every time I ate, my stomach hurt. And I went to my internist who my family loved. And I said, I've got all these things going on. I want to figure them out. And his exact words to me is exactly what's wrong with our medical system. He said to me, let's not look at all the symptoms. Let's take one thing at a time and figure out what's called. What? Okay, that's our problem. You see a doctor for 5 minutes. They have to, and this is no fault of theirs. This is how they're trained. I got to assess. Oh, you got your A1C is a little high. Metformin for you. Oh, your cholesterol. It's not the normal. You know what? You're going to go on statins. You know what? Your blood pressure is high today. Oh, you know what? Here's high blood pressure medicine.
Today. Right.
Yeah. What?
Right.
This is what's happening.
Right.
So that thing that happened to me in my 20s was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. You know why? Because I accidentally, because he said, let's look at one thing at a time, had an endoscopy after going to a cardiologist and all the things. And the endoscopy accidentally found that I had celiac sprue. Wow. So I was one of the original, like, don't eat gluten before people knew what gluten was.
Yeah, before it was trendy and hip.
Yeah, before it was trendy.
I used to have to order croutons and bread online.
Yeah.
If I was ever going to have a carb.
I carried a cart around that said all the things I couldn't eat.
Absolutely.
But I'm so grateful for this because I, learned about medicine and I learned about unprocessed food. I changed my life because of that. And that is one of the biggest blessings that's ever happened to me. I'm love that I can't have gluten. I don't want to have gluten. It's amazing. I love that I learned unprocessed eating. I believe it's helped me age well. It's helped me lead people around. So that was one of many things that happened to me years ago that had changed my thoughts about the medical system. So I think Western medicine has an absolute place. Like you have an emergency, you want Western medicine. You know, you have a bad infection, there's a definite place for it. But to have your 5-minute appointment with your doctor dictate your entire health trajectory, that's a problem.
Right. 5 minutes of anything. And especially, but for some reason, there's so much gravitas given. We had an individual that we, got labs run and we were looking at it and they had signed off on the labs. And one of the medications that they were on the lab for that was significantly low. Mm-hmm. And we said, hey, go back, talk about, talk about what you were on the med for this. It was a statin. You were on the med for this reason. Mm-hmm. Now you're extremely low. Why don't you guys talk about it? Well, my doctor won't be back in town for 6 months and I don't want to go off the med without his permission. And I just went, get somebody else in the office to talk to you. It was just super crazy. So in our...
Do you know how small the percentage, by the way, you all listening, of actual life expectancy changes from being on cholesterol medication? Like, it's very low. Like, it does more damage than good for most people. And I can say because I'm not a doctor.
It's a nice freedom. That's
just because your high cholesterol could be protecting you in a lot of ways. So that's just one thing. So I'm not going to go down. There's many of your listeners, I'm sure, that are on things, whatever. I get it. There's a place for all of that. But when you say your doctor says it's your age, this is a big problem. I would, number one, don't go to a doctor that's going to say that. And if they do, you probably should turn around and find a new one and find the one that actually believes differently and is looking at things differently. This is a big problem with women and hormones. I'll tell you that right now. They come in, they say, I'm post-menopause, or I'm just got menopause is a day, like the day your period stops after a year, or they're extreme perimenopause. They've got problems going on, and they say, I don't like how I feel. And instead of a doctor saying, let's look at hormone replenishment, let's look at how we can get your hormones back to great levels, which could be super protective for you. They say, let's give you synthetic birth control pills and put you on antidepressants.
Yeah, that's great, because all of us are deficient in that.
Right. And so, yeah, we don't fill back up the problem. We do. So this is just, obviously you just got me started on a whole tangent that I could go on with days. But when you ask me, what's the big thing with fat loss, it's this. It's the belief set in so many ways, believing that it's possible for you, but also, who are we listening to?
Right.
Are you listening to that doctor that says you're just getting old? Accept it. What? No.
Right.
Find evidence of somebody that's 70, 80, 90 that is living the way that you want to live then, and rewind what they did.
Right. Absolutely. Remodel that. Success leaves clues, right?
Always.
And people are generous, I think, with their breakthroughs. You know what I mean? I want to ask you, so we talk about healing the metabolism. We focus on food, micronutrients, nutraceuticals. I'm a huge advocate of all things natural therapies. And for me, I feel like we share lemon law. We should both be turned in on the lemon law, right? The car thing, when your car has so many problems, they turn it in. That's how it felt like going through my life.
Yeah.
Things first started happening for me in the autoimmune space in my 20s. And so I had to re-engineer my metabolism and my immune system. And that's what we do kind of as a community. But so many women, and I would just ask you, so many women find that their midsections during menopause or the hormone transition. Why do you believe the midsection?
It's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So first let's talk about fact versus reality. Okay. So the fact is your metabolism does slow down. If all things just created equal, someone can come at me and go, no, it doesn't. Well, we can make it so it doesn't, but you're just aging in general is something that happens to all of us. Your metabolism is going to slow down. You're going to lose muscle. When you lose muscle, you burn less calories at rest. Your metabolism changes. Okay. You're going to have sagginess. Things drop and change. Those things are real. Doesn't mean you're stuck with those. But the thickening of the middle that happens from a number of reasons. It happens from a combination of those things. It happens from hormone shifts because you lose estrogen, you're going to gain that. It happens from stress. Cortisol is going to raise that. So you're going to have some of that happen. Okay, these are all the negatives first. Like I'm just telling you all things. Is that?
You just said, I just want people to, I know that people believe this, but if you've got to address the stress.
Yes. Stress is huge. So stress is a big one. So I'm telling you the why first. Like I love why it happens. Yes. Okay. And then the big one is environmental toxins and your gut. So this gets overlooked a lot. So you might think like, well, everything's toxic, blah, 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 blah. Like but fine. When you're 20, everything's working a little bit different. 30, 40, 50, it's like wear and tear, right? It's like you use the same oil in your car over the years. Eventually that oil needs to be changed, okay? So you're doing the same things. Your body's not processing it all the same. So your toxic load as you get older is building up. Your gut health, it's building up. Where you might have eaten something before, it didn't necessarily affect you. All of a sudden you're like, wait, why am I lactose intolerant? Like what's going on? All that stuff kind of compounds. So when you said what's going on with my waist, my belly, all of that's happening. And you're losing skin elasticity. So there's a whole triage of things. But here's the difference. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is like where you get to choose. You get to say, all this has happened to me. This is what's happening. Aging sucks. I'm going to stay here and say I try everything. Okay, that's your choice number one. You could do that. And the entire media, friends, all that's enrolled in that. A lot of people enrolled in like, let's keep you there. Okay. Or you could say, oh, heck no. I'm going to figure this out because I want to age well. I don't want this. I realize that increase in belly fat leads to increase in visceral fat and other problems. I'm not enrolled in this. I don't want that. So you say, okay, let's be a detective. Let's be a health detective. Let's figure out why these are happening, but what I can do to reverse, slow the progression, all that. And then there's a whole lot of things you can do, but you got to be first in the like, I'm curious and I don't accept this.
I love it. No, this is not happening to me. And if it has happened to you, you have the capacity to reverse it.
And it happened to me. I'm going to be really real. So about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, I was known for fat loss programs, fat loss programs, and I didn't know what was going on with my body. I'm like, okay, maybe I've been wrong. I crossed over 50 and I'm like, what's happening? I'm getting thick. I don't feel good. All of a sudden I can't have certain foods. Like I foggy headed, like all the stuff. I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong. So I literally paused my programs and I referred my entire audience to somebody else's program for a while. I was like, I wanted to serve my clients. I'm like, I don't think I'm the best person to help with this right now. And I went into a depression. I'm just telling you the story that happened. I had a few months of, I'm depressed. I've been wrong. This sucks. People that are older were right. Like 50 is not the same. And 60 might be worse. And 70, that's what the story in my head. And I felt miserable about it. And something interesting happened. I had enough. And I said, I'm going to go back to the method that I used to teach, the thing that I figured out in my 30s. And I'm going to go through my process of making a decision, getting in touch with a new vision, and becoming a health detective. And I shifted my podcast to Midlife Conversations. I did a summit on midlife topics also. I started going deep down the rabbit hole of all these different topics and what's going on, and something incredible happened. I figured out how I can shift all those things. Like I figured out that part of what was going on was my gut health. I would have never imagined I had a leaky gut or even parasites or any of that, okay? Somebody might roll their eyes listening to this, but most of us have them, just so you know.
Oh,
like 50% of us have have parasites,
higher.
and no, they're not good for you. No,
Higher.
yeah, or okay, higher, maybe 7. So I cleaned that up. Instantly started feeling better, but then the person who coached me through that said, "Okay, something's feeding those. What's feeding those? So you got to be a detective. What's feeding those? Okay, what's feeding those?" Well, I learned I had a ruptured breast implant, silicone breast implant, because I had. This is going to make me sound really dumb, and I own it. I was really dumb. I had 5 sets over 30 years. I was caught up in it. But
with Asia syndrome, was it an adjuvant response? Like, did you have an immunoglobulin response?
Now I understand that I had this rupture for a while and it was feeding other toxins. So I didn't understand this. I thought I was fine, all the things. So, but because I had I just want to throw this in here. So could you said, I want to throw it in here for a community. So when you have the body is being poisoned, right? Yes.
Toxins released. This is what I always tell people: when you start to have gut health issues and there's a parasitic or candida involvement, right?
Something's feeding it.
You need to track the poison.
Yes.
Because our body, in its brilliance, right, will invite friends to the party to clean up the trash.
That's exactly right.
Parasites,
they work with your body, but that doesn't mean they're good for you.
Right. So sometimes when we kill off candida or we kill off parasites, sometimes we can even feel worse if the toxin is still poisoning us. And remember, guys, these are fat-soluble toxins. And fat-soluble toxins store in the fat.
So this is what happened. I clean up the gut and the parasites, and all of a sudden my weight starts going a little bit back to normal. But I'm realizing something's feeding them. I then learn I could see it on for those of you going to ask, I saw it on a breast MRI, I saw it on an ultrasound, I saw it on a mammogram. I'm not a fan of mammograms. That's a whole other topic. But I did all of that, and I saw that I had this massive rupture that it had disintegrated in me. So I decided to have an explant surgery and not put them back in, because I'm going down the rabbit hole of toxins and all that. So I removed those. Everything starts to come together. My weight, my leanness, everything goes right back to what it was in my 40s, right away. Now, you could say, oh, she removed her implants, she did parasite cleanse. That's not the reason. The reason is I made a decision. I got clear on the vision. I became a health detective. So my journey might be different than your journey. It probably is different. But the commonality is we all have to be a health detective. You have to be a detective. Even when I cleaned all that up, I'm still, I was still getting, this is just a genetic thing for me for sure. I get like 5 hot flashes an hour when I don't do hormone replacement, like literally 5 hot flashes an hour. And my mom at 78 still gets hot flashes. Her mom, up till the day she died, got hot flashes. It's a very highly genetic thing if you get hot flashes and night sweats and all that too. So again, detective mode. I don't take just a quick answer. I'm not going to say, oh, no, I'm going antidepressants, or no, I went on hormone replacement. That's what I wanted to do for me, bioidentical. So I am leaner now, stronger. I have a full 6-pack right now. I do not spend hours at the gym. I don't eat just chicken and broccoli at all. I don't count macros. I don't count calories. What I did is I made a decision. I got clear on my vision, and I became a massive health detective. And that's what I teach women.
I absolutely love that. Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah, of course.
There. Okay. So I was at the International Congress of Autoimmune Disorders, and over in Germany and Israel and France and Turkey and Russia, we were with docs from St. Petersburg. They talk about this thing called Asia syndrome with implant leakage. There is an adjuvant, which an adjuvant is an immune modulator, whips up the immune system. You had said 2 years ago things changed. What their correlation was with we were looking at individuals with long COVID and viral reactivation, but they were saying that the adjuvant that was in the COVID vaccine, and they weren't by any stretch of the imagination anti-vaccine, they were like anti-adjuvant. I can't say anti-adjuvant. They just kept saying, we got it wrong, guys. We got it wrong. And what they were talking about was the immune modulator that they added to the vaccine to whip up the immune system, because we were in this crisis situation,
right?
That the immune system would have a strong response to this vaccine, that adjuvant was viewed as the body as a toxin. And that's a lot of people post-COVID that have had these hormonal dysfunction, rapid weight gain, misplaced weight gain. And the Asia syndrome was where a lot of the research was on the breast implants, right? But they're using the Asia syndrome now. They're using that. It's like an identical receptor site adjuvant with people that had the COVID vaccine. And it was fascinating. I mean, my mind was just blown. And they were...
So that would not be me for a couple of reasons that you just said. So that's definitely not me. Right. I will tell you. I will tell you something that I don't know if you looked at this, but I'm convinced. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just me. I just share information. And I'm a little bit
with tons of experience.
Well, I get obsessive on things. And my whole family, my mom, not my whole family. My mom's always like, you should have been a doctor. I don't want to be a doctor, but she's always. I will get obsessive and learn and study and figure the things out. And this is what I think. My theory on breast implants. Okay. For a year, I had breast implants, 5 sets over 32 years. Excessive, yes. I had all the different kinds, silicone, saline, all of them. Dumb, I know. I started at age 19.
Not dumb.
I think it's dumb looking back. Right. I think looking back. However, the first 3 sets I had, first 4 sets I had massive capsular contracture, where your body basically is trying to get it out of you and it forms scar tissue around, right? And it squeezes it into a hard ball. Okay, what I believe now to be true, I don't care who says I'm wrong. This is my knowing, just like some people have a knowing about whatever. This is Natalie Jill's knowing. That capsular contracture was protecting my body from the chemicals in the implant. I know it. Because what happened was, when I went to a new surgeon who's amazing, who was like, we're not going to get capsular contracture again. This is what we're going to do. We're going to clean it out. We're going to create a whole new pocket. She was like, that's like, she's known for this. Like, you're not going to get capsular contracture. She made me look amazing, and then they were soft and all the things. However, that's when all my problems started, because my body was no longer protected from those chemicals in the implant. Now, how do I know those chemicals were in me? Well, I did a total toxin report, and I could literally, it showed high levels of all kinds of things that are in the stupid implant shell.
Right.
So there's that.
Right. And you probably weren't ingesting that.
I was not.
It was surgically put into the body. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. Well, I love that you're so candid in sharing all of these things, because, our bodies are designed to protect ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes our bodies store fat. That's why
smart.
The body, the health detective component. Our bodies, store fat soluble toxins in the fat, or it goes to the brain. We have neurological problems, right? Or it goes into other areas of the body and we expire. We get
that's right.
Right. So it's smart and it's divine, and it's supposed to do that. I want to remind everybody, though, that's listening, is every aspect of healing is nutrient dependent.
That's true. Absolutely is.
Go cash $1 million check at the bank. That is a nutrient dependent event. Whether you release toxins, that's a nutrient dependent event. When you burn fat, that is one of the most nutrient dependent events that you can do is sleep. Right? People think you do nothing. You do all kinds.
You feel. Your deep sleep.
You lose your weight too. Weigh yourself. Yeah. You lose your weight when you sleep.
So there's, it's interesting because I watched my husband, who is not a female, obviously. He's my husband, and we genetically are completely different. Like he has got nothing bad on his genetics. He's one of those people, like, he can, no kidding. My husband's ripped and he's healthy and he can eat whatever the heck he wants. He might think he's fat for a day. Like, I gained, like, where? I don't see anything. He eats like Skippy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch. It does not matter. He will have a Diet Coke. Like, he doesn't care. He just literally, he'll tell you he gets enough protein, all things. Great. He eats whatever the heck he wants. He does not have an issue. Someone like me cannot do that. I enjoy my life. I eat great foods, but I have to be really on it. I need to make sure everything's organic. I need to make sure I'm super sensitive. If there's pesticides, I can feel it. I'm very sensitive to processed dairy. Like, if it's been pasteurized, I need I'm a high maintenance eater. However, the payoff is I feel amazing, and I don't feel restricted. I don't feel restricted at all. So you listening, whatever your cards are, it's just a decision. It doesn't mean, I didn't say it's going to be easier for you. I didn't say it's going to be a piece of cake, nothing like that. I just said it's a decision. And then, do you want to? And then for someone that says, well, that's no fun. No, it is fun. I'll tell you why it is fun. One, I feel flippin' amazing at almost 53. I feel amazing. I've got energy. I've got focus. I feel good. I've got nothing hurts. And even though I've had multiple injuries in the past, I don't get injured anymore. I feel amazing. And you know what? I'm going to be this way at 80 or 90. That's what I want for myself. So this is not a vanity thing. This is not like I want to look a certain way. I want to be a certain way. I want to be active. Now, there's so many circumstances we can't control. I'm very aware of that. But I can tell you that I will do my absolute best to whatever circumstances handed to me to work on this attitude and belief around it. It doesn't mean I don't succumb to the negative feelings sometimes, or I got it. Like, I was there. I was at a pity party for myself a few years ago. But I hope to surround myself with people that, like, if I call you, Haylie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got this terrible news, that instead of you saying, you're right, that sucks, just give up, I want to hear, what are we going to do about it?
Right. I want you to hand me your spyglass, and as a detective, a friend detective.
Yeah, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, we have a girl retreat with all of our girlfriends, and one of the things that we do is we just like go. We do a lot of that vision, right?
Yeah.
What do you want? Where do you want to be? And I was wanted to go back into dating, and I was talking to my coach. It's been wonderful for me, quite frankly. I don't know, because I wanted it to be wonderful. Like, I was like, I want this to be wonderful. It's been amazing, right? For me, it's been amazing. But one of the things that we do for each other is we help to identify kind of what's your priority. We try to set those visions for the following year.
So good.
Our girlfriends get together. So women in general, I'm going to go into the women's space for a second. We have so much unique pressure, right, on ourselves, I believe. So what do you tell all of us out there that are struggling to put their health and wellness as a priority? Like, I feel like we get so much praise for being the best wife or the best mom or the best
totally
woman in business. Like, I love being a successful woman in business, right?
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I love writing books. I love every aspect of it. But I get a lot of praise for that. I don't get a lot of praise for being a badass at reversing my immune system.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we are in a nation that is very outwardly focused, very worldly, like, unfortunately. And I don't know where your listeners are or where you are with faith, but as soon as whenever I feel caught up in like the worldly things and that, I turn to faith for that, for me, because that's not my intention. I work to not be focused on that. I'm not perfect at it at any means, but I work at that. So my shift is, what value do I add to other people or the world? So instead of making it about ourselves, if you are not feeling amazing and you are feeling crappy and you can't move well, how are you showing up to your loved ones? How are you showing up as a leader? How are you showing up to friends? How are you contributing to the world? Are you taking from it or are you contributing from it? So for those of you struggling with that, like, I want you to think about that for a moment, okay? Now, one thing that we did not talk about that I am absolutely walking through, and I do not have this figured out. This is my next book, by the way, because I'm like, this is what I've been working on.
Ooh, I love it.
Is the place of not so much of the accomplishments that you're talking about, but even though that's a very important topic, it's the physical appearance of aging. And this is a very hard place for women, especially in Gen X, because we grew up in massive diet culture and Barbie culture, and all of this outwardly appearance is super important. And we're the first generation that is like literally trying to reverse through like Botox and fillers and all the things, okay? Like, surgeries have been around for years, but this is like a new thing. And then you add like filters on social media and all this. There's like a whole big extra thing happening with ageism. And you don't even really actually know what a real 50-year-old or 60-year-old or 70-year-old looks like, because we don't see it. We just don't see it. Okay, so there's this whole other, so follow me here. So what happens is we have a choice. We can get caught up in the appearance game, or we can do the work now, because it just gets worse. Because like, think about it. You work all these years to look a certain way. Like 20s, 30s, you're working out to look a certain way. Just own it. We did. You're doing things to look a certain way. Got it. End of 40s, 50s, you start realizing, you know what? It's a little bit more than the looks. I got to feel okay. Like, I don't like this ache and pain. I don't like my knee hurting like this. Like, you start realizing this, okay? So do you start chasing the physical, or do you start undoing a little bit of that and start focusing on, how do I get myself healthy so I'm ready for this next chapter? How do I do that? Now, I'm the first one in the salon coloring my hair when my grays come out. So no problem there. But there are things I've personally stopped doing to myself that I'm not going to do to myself ever again because of this. For example, I don't do Botox. Have I done it in the past? I had tried it in the past. I'm never doing it again. Why am I never doing it again? Well, do I like my forehead lines? No, because nobody else has them, and people love to comment on my forehead lines. They're like, you're a bad Botox. No, I just don't have it.
Yeah.
But why? Because one, I think we should have expressions. I think when we don't have expressions, we lose connection with people. There's a connection. You're talking to robots. Two, it's a toxin, and I know what that does to our body. You can tell me it's local all you want. You are injecting a toxin in you. So I pay attention to things like that. And I don't want to keep adding to the list of things we do. When I did that toxin report and I saw that I had high levels of HEMA in my blood, I'm like, where's HEMA coming from? Guess what it was coming from? Gel nails. I'm like, do I really need gel nails? No, I don't. So non-toxic nail polish. So I got a little bit off tangent here, but I want to bring this up because there is a big thing going on in ourselves about external versus internal. And what I want to share with you is, I'm not going to tell you just go age gracefully, because I certainly am not. I'm not going to tell you just accept, but start thinking, where can I lessen the load on where I'm so dependent on the outward appearance? And how can I get myself to a peak state of healthiness and vibrancy so I can show up better in the world?
I love that, because a lot of people look good and feel awful.
That's right. A lot of them do.
Yeah, and it doesn't it doesn't allow you to have the life and the vitality that you need and deserve. And so you lead a lot of challenges and incredible groups. Obviously, you're incredibly inspirational and aspirational. I appreciate you sharing.
Depends on who you ask. Some people I'm a little much. Some people I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't ask for all that. Okay, got it.
I love that comment that says, am I too much for you? Go find less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just I am a lot. I'm a lot for people because I'm an interruption. I'm an interruption for people. And I don't want people to leave a mediocre life. That's what I feel sad when a woman tells me that they don't feel good getting dressed in the morning. I feel sad that they're not being social. I feel sad that they turn to wine at night to shut off their brain. I feel sad that they're not having sex with their husband. I feel sad. There's a lot of things that I actually feel compassionate. And I'm like, wait a minute. You can do this. I hear from women all the time, they feel invisible. They feel invisible. Okay, I understand that. But invisible to who? Invisible to who? Like, what are you trying to be, invisible or not invisible? So that's a question to ask yourself. And then how do we fill that up? And I'm telling you right now, it's a decision first. If I'm triggering you a little bit, this is probably even more important. Like there's something in you that you're like, usually when we're triggered, you got to follow that. Like maybe I'm not your coach, but you got to follow that. But I just want women to know that this next chapter can be really powerful. Can you look 20 again? No, I'm not telling anyone to look 20 again. Can you be 20 again? No. But can we optimize our aging and be a different version of ourselves so we can lead this next chapter a lot more powerfully and have a really happy, fun, enriched, full life?
And when you had people holding that out for you, right? Mm-hmm. You had people holding that out for you when you were in.
Yes, I absolutely. My daughter is one of my biggest cheerleaders because I'm so grateful that I raised my daughter to believe that anything's possible. She'll do it to me first. Like she'll tell me. My husband's learned this with me. I don't have friends in my life that don't do this. If I have to bless and release people that don't do this, because I don't want to be around pity party aging. I don't care. I don't want to hear all the things falling apart and that suck when we age. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
We can joke about our eyesight. That's about where it stops. Like, what the heck? Why are menus written so darn small? I can't stand it.
Well, look what I have on today. I was tired. had show notes. I was like, okay, fine. I have to throw glasses on today. It's just one of those things.
We can joke about that. We can joke about, like things that like my daughter says, like, Mom, that's not how you use that word. I'll be like, oh, is this the vibe? She'll like, Mom, don't ever say that again. So she's 17. So I understand, like, there's things that we can joke about with aging, but don't tell me we're getting old and life sucks. Like, I don't want, I'm not enrolled in that.
Right. Good. And I love that you're telling everybody in our world, in our community, everybody that's out here listening, that you don't have to buy into that. You don't have to buy into the stereotype. You don't, especially if someone you're paying, like your doctor, your healthcare practitioner, or anybody, doesn't have a vision of you as being outrageous. No, they
turn around and leave.
Yeah. Then they're not yours.
Okay. Oh, we didn't even say this. I know I'm running over your time here probably, but I want to say, if your doctor is not aging the way you want to be aging, you need to look at that too.
Right.
Does your doctor work out? Like, let's start with that. Muscle is the most important longevity thing you can do. Don't let your doctor that does not work out at all tell you that you need an antidepressant and birth control pills. Come on.
Right. Exactly. How do people get a hold of you?
Well, the best thing, depending on when you're listening to this, I do a free class twice a year. And I happen to be doing this right now, nataliejillclass.com. Just go to nataliejillclass.com. If this stuff resonated with you, if this is like, I cannot listen to another word from this woman, then you don't want to come to class, because I'm going to be on a soapbox and I'm going to be chatting with you and I'm going to be taking questions and coaching people on this. So if you're like, I need more, I need this interruption, then join nataliejillclass.com. It's free. It's literally free. And I do this twice a year, and I have this happen to be coming up, and we're going to go deeper there. Other than that, I have a podcast called Midlife Conversations. You can find that on all podcast platforms. And then I'm on social media everywhere, but Instagram is pretty much where I live, Natalie Jill Fit.
I love it. Natalie, I cannot I'm super excited and super pumped, and I, work like joyfully. I won't say hard, because when it's joy, it just feels like I'm propelled with goodness. So when I'm in the process, but I work so joyfully on feeling incredible every single day. And I love the topics that you're bringing to the table. I love the things, we have obviously a lot of synergy in our stuff, but please tell me you'll come back.
Yeah, I'd love to. Anything. I love talking midlife topics, and I love disrupting. And by the way, if you listening have something to say to midlife women, do it, because I don't think we're represented enough in a positive light. We're starting to be. We start to have more people speaking into this. But we are the biggest population. I mean, oh my gosh, we are a huge population, and there's a lot of women. Men are too, but mostly women are really struggling with this, and we need to change the narrative around this.
We have to change the narrative, and we've got to I think one thing that women do really well is collaborate, right?
Yes, they do.
I think either, whatever you want to call it, girl power or women collaborating, or, minds, brilliance minds, whatever it is. But I think when you bring the ideas to the table and we just start to talk about in candidness, sharing what we've gone through, my goal, my mission is that people don't have the struggle, have the the gap between, where they are and where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
My whole life's work is to shorten the gap.
So good.
Yeah.
So what happens is, like, I feel like that the problem is two things. We're not present, and is the answer to it. But the problem is we compare so much to the past, what once was, what used to be, that's the one. And then the other end of the spectrum is we are afraid of the future because of what we're hearing on the media or what others say about aging, right? So my daughter, who's like my wisest guru, she's 17, but my daughter she is like a Bible expert, which I cannot claim to be that, but my daughter is like so good. She's taught me so much. And what she said to me yesterday in a conversation is, she's like, Mom, do you know in the Bible how many times it says, do not look, I'm probably messing this up, but don't look to the past. Like, do not look to the past. Do not look to the past. I'm like, well, wow. So there's some wise words there too, but it's just so interesting. Like,
it's a theme around for a long time. And usually when themes stick around for a long time, it's because there's truth. Yeah.
And so, but I guess my point on that is, like, that is and we've heard this, no matter who you are, whether you are religious or you are into whatever, you've heard this message about being super present to what is and how you want to feel right now and things like that. When we start looking at like how I was at 20 or what people are telling me is going to happen, that's the problem zone.
Right. And I bought my one house in LA from a woman that was 96 years old that had just recently quit riding horses. And, she was going to go, and I thought it was very interesting. She was going to go move up north to be with one of her kids. And I will tell you, my mind said, oh, because you're slowing down is what, I thought was going to be the rest of her sentence. Her kid, who was in his 60s or 70s, was starting to have some health issues, and she was going to go up and help him. And she was, I know, but what about
I love that.
I know. She's 96 years old, riding horses, but jumping into the caregiver role. And I bought the house and said, kind of stay as long as you want. I wasn't ready for the house yet, but I got to ask her a lot of questions about, and to your point, physical activity, joy and wellness. And, she had a compost out in the back here. The avocado tree that I have at my house, that I built my kitchen that we film in around because they didn't want to touch it. She grew it from a seed. There's only been organic. I didn't even look inside the house. She's telling me this, the tangerine tree, the avocado tree, the persimmons, pomegranates, everything was organic. She's never used a pesticide on the property. And I just, I just went, and she's 96 and riding horses.
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah,
That's what I want to be. She's my goal.
Exactly. And, moving up north to take care of one of her sons. So I just thought that was just such a cool vision. So
that's goals to me. Like, I would rather compare myself to that. That's like, then a lot of what we see on social or whatever else. Like, that's amazing. That's my goal in life. Like, I'd love that.
She never had social media whatsoever.
But I guess my reason behind, I live on social, obviously my business is there too, but it's just that danger zone of like just the scrolling and the comparison and like, you don't know what's real. And then it's like, so that's my whole thing is like, we don't actually know a real example of what a thriving 50 or 60-year-old looks like because you don't know what's real anymore. You can add AI into the problem and it's really going to get confusing.
Right. And I love what you said, and you can be a health detective and have outrageous health. And I'm big proponent with you. I'm all about unpoisoning the body and toxins and how our super smart body responds. Natalie, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, guys, check out the event. Take advantage of her generosity and abundance of energy. I just love it. So please promise me you'll come back on. This was very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And our community's just going to go bonkers over it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Guys, if you have questions for Natalie, please post them below. I will do my darndest to get her back on, and we can ask your very specific questions. I know I want to talk about HRT with you, hormone replacement therapy. There's so many opinions on it. And I think it's very funny when the opinions come from people that have never done it, never taken it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of data about, your risk factors. That's interesting.
Well, and you do know all that's been debunked, right? Like all the Women's Health Initiative, it's all been debunked. Like it does not cause cancer. We know that.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy what we're up against as women when we reach towards things that are going to give us the vitality to make changes.
Yeah, and I don't care if somebody doesn't want to take it. That's I don't care. Just like it's an option, but I'll be taking it the rest of my life. And I'm just letting you know.
That's like me.
Why would I not?
Yeah, we have two things: fatty acids and T4, T3. We have a lot of different supplements, but I always say you're gonna pry my cold dead fingers off of those.
I will be coloring my hair and doing HRT forever. So there's that.
I went through menopause when I was hospitalized, and I was at UCLA for just under 3 weeks. I got viral meningitis, and boom, done. I went through the transition and lost a ton of hair, which was so fun. But it's when I formulated our fatty acids and our T4, T3. Now I just got 4.5 inches cut off this morning.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, I know. But now I'm always like, look at my hair. So
yeah, that's amazing.
It's not about the vanity.
I have extensions, so I can't.
Oh, I have
there.
I'll
have extensions.
I'll hook you up. Your hairdresser's going to hate you though, because she's always like, what is going on with your hair? And I have pictures, like you could see all of my scalp. Oh my God, it was awful.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was awful. But
was it low thyroid? You had low thyroid, and that's what or it was a combination.
I have an autoimmune disorder, right? And so I think your immune system's maybe a little more fragile. And I think when I got sick and went through menopause, our prostaglandins, PG1, PG2, PG3, the things that regulate are the estrogen, E2, that comes primarily, right, from the ovaries.
Mm-hmm.
Start producing more E1. It has a significant effect on hair follicles. So I have an ag degree. Animal sciences was my first degree, ag and animal sciences. So in the animal space, animals blow their coat. Right? I literally was blowing my coat. That was my version of menopause.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get the hot flashes. I became female pattern baldness. And I was freaked out. Yeah. So I became a health detective. I went back and I reverse engineered what nutrients would help re-regulate my immune system. Oh my God, my hair grows it's hideous.
Yeah, I need to try this. Yeah, that's amazing.
I will hook you up. But it's just like you said, being that health detective, right?
Totally. Yeah, everyone's got their different things. You just have to be your own detective with it.
So this for me isn't a vanity thing. This is I'm healthy. I have abundance. I can grow hair. I have so much
good
freaking vitality. My hormones are so dialed in that I can just grow hair. I know that's maybe to some people, but it just is that feeling that, my hair and my nails and the abundance is pouring out of my body. That's what I wanted when I thought I was losing my kidney, had to have my spleen out, and started IV chemotherapeutic.
Wow.
That was the vision for me. Yeah. I wanted to not be on 60 milligrams of prednisone every day. I wanted to be out freaking rageously healthy. And so,
yeah, I love this. And, and that's the goal. The average, I think it's I heard alarming statistically, the average midlife woman is on 5 prescriptions. I thought, what?
Yeah. Well, this is in my 20s.
Yeah.
This is in my 20s. Yeah. I had that major health trajectory, that major pivot, that major, I always say it was the indentations, so there's so many topics that our community is just going to go bonkers and write questions.
Love it.
So I love your generosity in sharing with us. I'm 52. I want my 6-pack. You've given me, we call it our health wish.
Jump on my class that I'm doing.
I'm going to. You've given me my new health wish list agenda. My hair's growing like a weed.
Amazing.
My skin feels amazing. I have abundance of energy. I sleep like a fiend. Dating's going great. I want a 6-pack. Let's get it.
I can get it. I can help you do it.
All right, Natalie, I'm taking you up on the offer. Okay, you guys join in, jump in. Thank you so much for being on. This was just, you poured into my cup and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.